Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at Exceptional X-Men issue number 5, but before we get into the overview, here are my quick thoughts on the issue overall. Where last issue was mostly a Trista issue, this issue is mostly a Thao issue, as she grapples with the fact of realizing Kitty Pryde has killed people before, and that really goes against her morality. I still think this was a good addition to the Exceptional X-Men ongoing series so far, but the pacing wasn't as great as Trista's issue, for example, and I just don't feel as invested in Thao as a character even though we got this focus on her. But the art is still phenomenal and the emotional baggage that is written into these characters is also really working well for the most part. So let's get into the overview because there's also some moments in here that I did really enjoy. I like the way we start off the issue here. It's in pretty big contrast to what we've seen so far in this series, but it's a flashback of Kitty Pryde during the brutal Fall of X storyline, which marked the end of the Krakoa era, and we see her among the bodies of these Orcus agents which she killed, as her narration talks about how something inside her is broken and now she wants the outside to match the inside. We then see Kitty Pryde in Japan and she is giving a code word to enter this fabric shop, and all of a sudden, a bunch of ninjas start attacking her, and it's all just part of getting in, and we, surprise, learn that this shop is owned by Yumiko, and Kitty's intent is to get some gear and an outfit for all the brutality she's about to commit, retaking on her Shadowkat form basically. And Yumiko here subtly mentions that she's heard what Kitty's been up to, the ugliness, it's unbecoming, sort of critiquing those actions and acknowledging the rumors of her violent deeds in the fallout of the Krakoa world. But Kitty pushes back against this, sort of calling back to her past in the Kitty Pryde and Wolverine series, saying unbecoming of who? The child soldier forcibly possessed by a warrior demon? But what Yumiko's really trying to do is just reframe it for Kitty so she knows that she does have a choice, trying to emphasize her autonomy in things and offering Kitty this reminder that she still controls her destiny despite things that happened to her in her past. And Kitty's pretty firm in justifying her actions and framing them as a response to trauma and loss that she doesn't really have a choice in, but by the end of this conversation, it does seem that Yumiko somewhat empowers Kitty and suggests that redemption and change are an ongoing process, and it's okay to even, if yesterday she was bad, she can start being good again today. You can redefine yourself beyond your past and present circumstances, basically. Jumping out of the flashbacks and into the present, we pick up right where the last issue left off, with Kitty's students just having heard all about her past actions of killing people. And Thao is the most overwhelmed by this, and she really lashes out at Kitty here, saying like, who the hell even are you? How can we trust you? Goes so far as to basically call her a stone cold murderer, although Emma cautions her a little bit there and is like, hey, don't say things you can't take back. And this builds and builds until Thao just declares, I don't want any part of this, I don't want any part of you, and she quits. Now I do understand that this character is being positioned as someone who has a really strong sense of morality and justice, and Kitty's past is clashing with the values that she associates with heroism, but also I kind of question, like, you being a young mutant, do you not know about the harsh realities of the world that you live in, and that there is like sort of sometimes necessary moral ambiguity for the mutants to survive? And not trying to ultimately justify killing, but these young mutants did see Orcus pretty openly try and commit genocide on the mutant population, right? I mean, they were not hiding it at all. Part of it was about turning the public against mutants, and also, I mean, they paraded Cyclops around, eyes stitched shut for his trial, so dark stuff. But hey, teenage angst and trying to remedy your values with the reality of the world, I suppose. And as everyone basically bails on the dojo, everyone needs some time to think about this, Kitty and Emma sit down and they have another one of these clash of their ideals and generational experiences. And Kitty's just frustrated because she really desires to shield these students from the harsh realities like the ones she endured. She wants to offer them some agency beyond a life of endless conflict. And Emma responds much nicer here than she has been before, because I think she sees Kitty's at her low, but she emphasizes that unfortunately these things are just somewhat linked, the experience between being a mutant and struggle. And the hard truth is that sometimes being an X-Men means having to navigate pretty impossible choices. And I really love this little moment of Emma where she brings up Krakoa and Kitty's like, this is not about Krakoa, it has nothing nothing to do with them, and Emma says it has everything to do with them, serving as this reminder that, look, no mutant is exempt from the legacy and consequences of their shared history, no matter how much they want to separate themselves for it. And also, I think it just ties back to Emma's philosophy of for the children, and how everything she does through her pragmatism is for the children and for the longevity of mutant kind. We then see Thao coming back to her house, and this is the first time that we've gotten a look at this place. Seems like she's got 2 younger brothers, and then we also do see she's got a set of parents later on. We then get this bit of introspection from Thao where she's trying to grapple her moral compass with everything she just learned about Kitty, and she makes this statement where it seems like she's going to have to learn everything on her own from now on. And with that, her thoughts are interrupted because she is being visited by her younger cousin Ellie, who appears to be a mutant with some reptilian features. She's got a little dinosaur tail there, basically. And she's obviously had her mutation probably happen pretty recently, and it is an exterior mutation, which, hey, I love to see that in the comics, because there is a different level of privilege between mutants who are passing and mutants who are not. But Ellie basically talks about how she's sort of being picked on by school, and she wants Tao's help with this. If she can just talk to the people and explain how being a mutant works, they'll know that it's not a disease, it's not contagious, and they're fine. We also do get mention of this Verite app, which is this little villainous app that I think has been being built up through a couple of these issues now. I'm sure we'll see what this all leads to later on. But the gist of it sounds like it's focused on DNA collection, which makes me think Sinister, but who knows, maybe not any Sinister involvement here, we'll see. But we do then get Thao trying to stand up for Ellie at school. She basically just starts yelling at people though, this bold declaration of standing up against any mutant hate, but this escalates when a girl who seems to be her age comes up and challenges her, saying, hey, don't you have anything better to do than just pick on 6th graders? Which I've got to say, not a good look at all for Thao, although that is obviously I think intentional here. They're showing some of the pitfalls of where Thao is at right now, and how her methodology is also not perfect, and she goes so far as to basically start a fight with this girl, and as a swing is attempted on Thao, she turns invisible into her phased form, and that just really focuses everything back on her younger cousin Ellie, amplifying the vulnerability she's feeling and making the situation worse for her, as we see some students in the background being like, oh my god, she's a mutant too, it really is contagious like we said. So I think it's a little microcosm here of, hey, even in your determination to protect others and your struggle for control, there is always going to be unintended consequences of your actions. And we learn after that Ellie now just does not want to go to school anymore. She feels awful and embarrassed. And as she's complaining about this to her friends, Alex and Trista give her some tough love here, saying that, you know, Thao, you stick to your ideals and that's fine, but you often forget about the human aspect. You forget about other people's feelings. You embarrassed your cousin, you bailed on your teammates the other day when you stormed out being mad at Kitty, and this all gets to Thao, and then we sort of get this series of her making some amends. First, she apologizes to Ellie, and Ellie tells her, I really didn't want you to do what you did. I just wanted you to show me how to speak up for myself, how to empower myself, how I could teach them that I'm not some contagious, scary mutant monster. And Thao punctuates this conversation by saying, you're reminding me of something. I have to take action to defend the things I care about. But I can't forget about the people I care about in the process, referring to how she's been operating a little selfishly. She's been doing things from only the perspective of herself, and when it comes to her team and Kitty, she entirely bailed on them. And finally, Thao returns to the dojo after all of this self-discovery and reconciliation in her head, and she talks it out with Kitty a little bit, and at the end says, I'm choosing this. She makes the conscious decision to embrace the imperfection that comes with being a mutant and figuring it out along the way, but knowing that she's gonna have her team there to help her and her mentors there to help her, sort of encapsulating the X-Men ethos of, hey, we're gonna stand together despite the flaws, despite the hardships, but we'll figure it out because together we're strongest. Which, while I think this is done a bit expeditiously in this book, I do like to see this readiness to grow as a hero and the maturity that's evolving and the courage that's evolving with this too. We then get our little teaser here at the end, which is tying back in the Verite app, and it looks like Ellie is going through with swabbing some of her DNA and sending it into them. So we'll see how that turns out. Probably not well. Can't trust these corporations with your mutant DNA, folks. Okay guys, I would love to hear what you thought of this issue if you've read it. I do think it's probably one of the weaker issues of Exceptional X-Men so far, but This is my favorite ongoing series at the moment. Magic may be a contender there as it develops, but I still enjoyed this for what it was. Okay, with that, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and you all have a great rest of your day.